Hey, hello everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Here's your favorite baby boomer here. Anyway, listen, it's a decent day today. The stock market is soaring back again, and got results of my blood test. And yeah, you know what? I got another day to live. It was okay. The results okay. So always get your checkups and stuff, especially get to around my age. So I'm good for another few months till I go back, so now I'm still trying to get the pounds off, but so unlike the statue, I think I'm gonna be a little bit more successful than she is. She's gonna stay big. Anyway, but I have a little bit on that a little later. Uh, but I'm gonna try to keep it in context to the first 100 days and the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I mean, it's a political season. I think if it was another president, I don't think it would be so much political action to discuss because you know my man keeps the politics. Everybody just is talking about politics all over the way, all over the place. But be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. You can go over to mine and subscribe to mine as well. I have a lot of political reaction stuff over there and a lot of other things. But uh, share, go ahead and give a couple of nickels to this channel as well. We're trying to blow it up. This Monday show, I've been pretty consistent with it. I mean, for what it is. If I was, some real professional YouTuber and stuff like that. What's going on, Trey? Yeah, Finesse was here as well. Finesse Visions. Things might be a little bit better, but I'm having a little bit of fun here. Something to look forward to on Mondays. You know, uh, I think the butterflies are always still there before I start out. But this one is easy because I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna go do this like it was a briefing. So because I had the first chart, of course, I'm gonna talk about the good. Then we're gonna talk a little bit about the bad, and then we're gonna talk about what I think is ugly. What's up, Curtis? How you doing? And somewhere in there, I'll just drop the link, and we could just kick it back and forth. I mean, I have a little bit of videos, but they're not really long. I just want to kind of prove a point, when we talk about what's good, what's bad. And listen, what I think is good might not be the same as what you think is good. What I think is bad, you might have other things on your list. So feel free to share those. And what I think is ugly, definitely might not be the same thing you think is ugly. Again, feel free to share what you think is good, bad, and ugly. And because we could conversate. Because listen, I'm not going to argue about how somebody feels about what's good, bad, or ugly. I think more things could be true. More than one thing could be true at the same time, because politics is all a matter of our perspective, right? And then we vote, and the people who have the better the people who should have the better perspective should win. I think this election, I think America spoke loudly. I think the smartest people won this time. You said, I think you said all your stocks went up today. Listen. The stocks have been. I have a chart on this. I have a chart on where the stocks were on the 7th of April. That's when the tariffs were talked about, and that's what perturbated the market. And on the 7th of April, all the indices hit their 52-week lows. And then I'll show the contrast to where they are now. You know, so oh man, again, that's a smart move with your options, man. I still haven't really played any options lately, but that's a smart move because no telling what's going to happen. I used to call Tuesdays bloody Tuesdays, but there's got to be some kind of a consolidation soon. Anyway, so without further ado, we're going to start talking about what I think is, the good part of the first 100 days. Let me just say that in all the times I was voting, I never seen a a presidential candidate or a president actually act on all the things they said on a campaign trail. In his first 100 days, he touched upon pretty much every single thing he said on a campaign trail. And you know why that's significant, right? Because he gave everybody, pro Trump, Trump derangement people, all that shit, you all had a chance to vote exactly on what the man said he was going to do. right? he said, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I would enact, and you had a chance to say yay or nay, and that's why all the people complaining right now, from the other party, and said, listen, you didn't have a better compelling argument. You just didn't. You know. Oh man, look at that man. Trey over here talking about how much money he made, man. That's good. I'm happy. I bought just on a side note, I bought one of my cousins, I set up her Roth IRA just like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, around 2 weeks ago. Yeah, just a couple of stocks because she didn't have a lot of money. And she just turned 50. She's turning 50 this month. And I said, listen, you know what? I'm going to help you, uh, set up your Roth and add to whatever your retirement is going to be because you can't touch this anyway. So if you got a little bit of money, in 15 years, you should be able to have another tax-free source of income, to help you in retirement. And she bought it, and so there we go. All right, so let me get to, Curtis. So I said, Curtis, Trey, and man, everybody in the chat, I appreciate it. Stick around, and if y'all want me to drop the link early, just let me know, but I'll drop it anyway soon. But let me just throw up the first chart, and so you guys can see where I'm coming from. Oh, not just yet. Let me do it. Let me do this first. All right. All right. The first 100 days, man, the first and beyond, because we're like, the 100th day was on the 30th of April. And so they enacted a lot of stuff. And so here we are on the 12th of May. So some of those things are starting to come to fruition now. And more power to the guy. So let's see what I had up first. Let me do this first. I'll drop this. Let me just put this shit in the link. Anybody wants to come up, I even put the link in there, man. All right, let's go see what's happening. Let me go ahead and spin this. So this is what I consider the good, right? He said he's going to do everything before the election. And the first thing I'm going to give him credit for is closing those borders. No, he didn't need no damn legislative bullshit. He didn't need to go through Congress and ask for permission. He just put the men down there, gave them free license to do what their job was, and they closed those damn borders. And they closed them so fast. The contrast to what Biden and Harris was doing, it was so I guess blatant. We know that they kept those borders open for a reason other than just being downright ignorant. That was part of it, but we know that they had a nefarious reason for letting all those people in our country, and they didn't give a shit what kind of people they were. They were trying to set it up for elections in the future, and they should pay dearly for that. They should really, really pay dearly for that. So I just want to give a little glimpse of how quiet it is on the border.
Promises, as we know, especially to seal off the U.S. border to migrants and asylum seekers. And his administration is now crediting its sweeping crackdown for a dramatic drop in illegal immigration. Last month, the Border Patrol recorded the lowest level in illegal border crossings in at least 25 years. Our Camilo Montoya Galvez traveled to both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border to talk to border agents and migrants, some of whom are now deciding to go back home amid the harsher U.S. policies.
Just feet away from Mexico, our cameras captured a heavily fortified U.S. border.
This has been known for so many years for the high level of smuggling activity.
That has been true historically, but not anymore.
The activity is very slow. There's multiple factors attached to why we have seen a significant drop in apprehensions recently. One of them, of course, is consequences.
And you believe that is due to new policies from Washington, D.C.?
It has a lot to do with that.
It is quiet here at the U.S.-Mexico border, where illegal crossings are down by more than 90% from the same time last year. We have seen...
Well, I just wanted to get a little taste of that because everybody saw those thousands of people converging, on a border back in the day. I mean, it took them, 9 maybe a month or less, not even a month, 2 weeks or whatever, to kind of close those borders and and protect the United States from folks just pouring into the country. And then all of a sudden, all that just, it's crazy. All of a sudden, it's really good. So I don't care what people and how people feel about this thing. This is something that they can't take away. You can't take away. They could ruin it if they ever get back in power, and they will, by the way. But that's why they can't get back in power. The other thing is that, and this is like an intangible, but I think he effectively marked the end of the woke and cancellation era in culture. People are feeling more free to say shit that might, and that used to be able to get you fired or canceled. And listen, Shannon Sharp, uh, uh, maybe a year ago, with just that allegation, he would have lost everything. He's going to lose a few things, but he's still on the air. Based on those allegations with the little white girl, a year ago he would have been done. Nobody would have done anything with him. He wouldn't have been able to even move. And so now people are saying, well, wait a minute. Let's let the shit play out. Or if you misspoke and call a big big chick with dicks, you call him a guy instead of a girl. In the office space, you get written up by HR and all that kind of stuff. Those days are kind of over. Mispronouns and all that kind of stuff. I think people are moving a lot easier today. Matter of fact, there's another part to this that Black people need to realize, that white people are starting to pass around what they call Black fatigue. you know, so whatever that means, where people giving them the Black girl magic, just because you have a dispute, that people are going to start pushing back against that shit. You're starting to see it already. The other thing is he signed 143 executive orders. Now, some of those executive orders, they ain't all equal. Some are redundant, I think. They all are only as good as he being the president, and followed up by another Republican, right? Because if a Democrat comes in, they can cancel all these executive orders. So one of the things that's on the bad sheet is that they need to codify some of these into law, the ones that are worthwhile. So, I just put down 8 here that I thought was cool. That the restoring freedom of speech, right? Even though he's trying to censor the Harvard University, but for his nefarious reasons. So that's always a slippery slope. But we know that the Democratic administration silenced all of the social media outlets, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter at the time, and they forced them to either shadow ban or outright deny any negative or any contrarian discussions for the C deal, right, and for other things as well, and under threat of destroying businesses, by the way. And Zuckerberg came out and admitted that. So that's not just me saying it; they actually did that. So, and if you listen to some of the politicians, the liberal politicians, they are for censorship. In England, they're throwing people in jail for saying the things that they don't like. Real jail time. So even Europe has fallen prey to this bullshit. And I think the only reason why the chick who did Harry Potter, the only reason why she's not in jail is because she's a multi-billionaire. Anybody else would have said that, they would have thrown her in. I think she's from Ireland. Their rules say she should be in jail already. So anyway, the DEI stuff. Okay. Whoever's here, I want y'all to listen to this little clip on the DEI deal. All right. Yes. So Trey, you heard about the Black fatigue. And listen, you haven't heard? Okay. And Trey, the Black fatigue thing is real. And I tell people need to be careful. So like those 2 chicks from Frontier Airlines, I'm glad they got, I hate to see people get fired, but there should have been repercussions for how they acted. So, but here's the DEI and here's the kind of training that is actually, I think this was trolling, but I'm not so sure because I've seen some really bad DEI training courses before. But this one I thought took the cake.
All white people are racist. So I put this up because I really want any white person in the room to know up front that this is what we're dealing with, that it's not going to be this coddling of white tears and what that looks like. We're not going to discuss, oh, maybe some of us have worked it out. No, you're always going to be racist, actually. So even when you're on your path to trying to figure out how to be a better human being, because I believe that white people are born into not being human, like that actually instead of people of color and black folks being dehumanized, that actually everyone is dehumanized off rip within white supremacy, that y'all are born into a life to not be human, and that's what y'all are taught to do, to be demons. So in this particular way, white people are all racist. So I just want y'all to know that up front. All white people are racist. So I put this up because I really want.
I tell you, man, I can't imagine those people listening to this lady speak that way. But that's the kind of shit we had to get rid of. And I mean, okay, they could have made a statue about that lady, right? Can you imagine a big ass fat black lady telling you some stupid shit like that? But there you go. Unleashing American energy. I agree with that. Declaring the drug cartels terrorist organizations. That's important because now they can use all the laws at their disposal to get rid of these guys. I think establishing Doge was a great thing. I think we need to see more receipts, though. Birthright citizenship. I have mixed feelings about that. Matter of fact, I'm not so sure that I agree with it, even though I know it was intended for giving citizenship for Black people. But that's not a good enough excuse to say the interpretation can't be a sanctuary for people who actually get here and have a baby in America. I think that's one of the things that makes us unique, because the if you use the rationale that was put in the 14th Amendment to make Black people whole as American citizens, well, yeah, but that's still an interpretation, even if that was the intent. Now, because overall, the intent for the United States Constitution was to make this place a safe haven for only white people, right? And then the way they wrote it, it was being that we were able to expand that for all people. That wasn't their original intent for those founding fathers, and nobody can convince me that that's true. So sometimes you just got to say, listen, you got to share some of the ambiguity of some of these laws. And so I think that's just my interpretation. Actually, I think the Supreme Court is actually looking at this right now. Right. So, so the Supreme Court is actually looking at that. So we'll see what happens with the birthright citizenship. There's people hard on both sides. If it goes away, I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep, but I think it should stay. Protecting children from chemical and surgical mutilation. I think that's a great one, right? That needs to be put into law somehow and make it criminal for people to take, kids and put them through those life-changing because a boy wants to play with a Barbie doll and a girl wants to play with a G.I. Joe. So we're going to go cut their private parts off or give them life-changing hormones for the rest of their life. It just should be criminal. It should be absolutely criminal, not only on the doctors who perform it, but on the parents who let that shit happen. So that's a good one. And keeping men out of women's sports. I'm old enough young enough to remember how hard women with vaginas and, ovaries and who wanted to be able to be treated like first-class citizens and getting scholarships and playing sports and getting, all those kind of things boys got and when they went to college. And that unfortunately, a lot of that turned into a lot of the feminists we have today because they got usurped But that still doesn't say we should have chicks with dicks in sports, in female sports. And the real problem is, I'm sorry that men have to come out and speak against that, because you women allowed this shit to happen because you're feminist and liberal, right? As soon as uh, my man from the Kardashians, or whatever his name, Bruce Jenner, decided to put on a dress, and then everybody called him Woman of the Year. I wanted to see what the BLM like riots from women should have been all over the shit, saying, "Yeah, what the hell?" Yeah, and y'all accepted that shit with open arms. And now, you're reaping what you sow, because men don't share spaces with women like that. We want to take it over, So there you go. Hey, man, what's going on, 100 Pod? What's happening, brother?
Oh, nothing, man. Sitting here enjoying this lovely blood pressure raising conversation we have.
Yeah, is it? That'll be okay. You have anything? I don't know how much you saw, but this is my few. I just plucked out a few executive orders, 143 of them. And these are just some that popped out to my head that I thought were important. There you go. Anyway, so I just wanted to go down this list, and you have anything to say so far since you just popped up? Yes, no, maybe.
Sorry, give me one quick. I'm sorry. One sec. I'm trying to fix my audio.
All right, so let me just keep rolling. Oh, okay. So I'm going to talk about the tariffs a little bit, not from the getting down into the mud. Like, I understand all the tariffs. All I know is that with the tariffs, Trump had a plan to reorganize our import-export business. It is not good that we have a $2 trillion trade deficit, right? It's just, on the surface of it, that's bad, right? With all the ramifications, I don't know all of them, but if you're getting hosed by the tune of $2 trillion a year, that shit can't be good. So he went about using tariffs to try to rebalance our position with the entire world on trade, imports and exports. There's some benefits for us to start to build some stuff here. Some things go away, it's all technology, whatever. I think that's a good idea, but it's disruptive. And that's what I think led to the market rebalancing itself, and culminating with a big dip by April 7th, because I looked at it. And I have a chart for that later. But we see where we are now, that he's starting to make some deals. And people are starting to come to the deal table. He's not removing the tariffs, he's lowering them and then negotiating. And so once that happens, then we'll rebalance with the world on trade, import, export. I think this is going to be a good thing. That's how I see it. I think it's going to be fantastic. I don't know. You got any thoughts on that one?
The idea, of course, is to make more money than you're spending. And in terms of goods that we send out, it don't seem like we're making enough money close to being able to cover that. So, yeah, we got to get that trade deficit, figure that shit out quickly. And with all, like you said, with all of these trade deals that he's going on right now, that's probably going to be the fastest way. It seems like that's going to be the fastest way for us to close that gap.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So listen, whatever the outcome is, there's a video, and I wish I would have got it, of Nancy Pelosi back in the early 90s saying the exact same thing that he said, when he was on the campaign trail. That's when she actually looked like a woman. So she was really spry back then too. And she was
Is she a Democrat, ain't she?
Yeah, but the Democrat, this was a bipartisan issue. It was a bipartisan issue.
Oh, I know. I asked that question on purpose. God damn it.
Yeah.
Because all of the things like you were saying earlier, the Democratic Party, the messaging that they had wasn't relating. Because I cannot recall many tariff or trade or financial conversations or what the plan was for China or none. I don't remember much of that conversation. There were a lot of other topics that it seemed like they were focused on spending their time on. It really ain't had nothing to do with me and what I had going on. So
Yeah, but in 1991 too, man, you was like really young.
I mean, I'm talking about like recently. So
Yeah.
like from 1990, for them to make the change, like to make a change like that from 1991 to now is like it is the political representation of people saying they're getting black fatigue. Like we getting Democrat fatigue too.
Yeah.
It's the same shit.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely get Democrat, especially on the way they're behaving right now. But next thing was, I've heard a lot of people saying, "That's you back here, Trey." Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying that it's not a crime to enter the United States illegally. Well, that's a lie. U.S. Code 1325. The first time you come in, it could be it's a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor. The first time they can handle it civilly. They can handle it based on whatever misdemeanors do. It's not really as serious. But they kick you out and you come back by 1326, then it's a felony, right? Or if you're in the country and you have a visa and your visa runs out and you're still here, it's a civil issue because it's not a crime, but all of those infractions are subject to deportation. All of them. You don't have to be a Trende Laraga or anything else. If you're here and your shit ain't straight, the fact that you're a good person is kind of immaterial. Well, I mean, not kind of. It is immaterial. I mean, if you had a car and you drove without a license, you could be Sister Teresa. That shit don't matter. You don't have your license. So that's one of these things I think we get wrapped up in. The news media can really, really play that up. And I know why, because if a person's here for any appreciable amount of time, they're going to have friends. They're going to build relationships. They may have a family and all that kind of stuff. And you people will be endeared to them. But if their paperwork ain't right, they're still subject to deportation. That's why you got to get your shit right. What's going on, Rondé? What's happening? So anyway, that's just my thought on that part. I just wanted to dispel the bullshit that Jasmine Crockett and some of the others say. Well, just because if you're a nice person, doesn't matter whether you're illegal in the country or not. Well, that's just not true. It's just not true. So anyway, these are some good things I think that Trump has going on. I think that I like his cabinet picks. I mean, they're all human beings. They ain't all perfect. I think he did a much better job this time than he did the first time he was president. Some of these people are okay. I think some of them have, and they weren't all just like these so-called loyalists. I think some of them some were Democrats at one point, some are Republicans now, and I think they're all younger. They ain't old farts. Some of them can still relate to younger folks. And so I think it's pretty good. Trey, what's going on, man? What you got to say?
I ain't got nothing much to say. I mean, majority of what I see on the screen looks accurate. I will say that this first 100 days to me shows just how much the typical American knows nothing about what's actually going on in America. It's very obvious to me that even when you have these conversations about tariffs, they were having these conversations about tariffs in the 90s. The Democrats were having these conversations, by the way. The Democrats were the ones who wanted to implement these tariffs in the 90s. Obama wanted to implement these tariffs during his term. So this isn't these tariffs and saying that we were getting an unfair deal. It's nothing new. He just decided, Trump decided to actually do something about it. So it just goes to show how many people don't really know what is actually going on in the world.
I'm thinking about it right now, and I think this is a great representation of how Democrats fucking suck at marketing. Because the Democrats were talking about this in the 90s, but the only thing that you can remember from the 90s when it comes to Democrats is the crime bill. The crime bill. That's the only thing you can really remember when it comes to Democrats and the 90s. And if I remember correctly, Joe Biden was one of the main authors on that.
Was it Clinton and Biden? But you know,
also Clinton getting his willy sucked on by Monica Lewinsky. That also happened in the 90s.
You know, the one thing that this is really a sidebar, and this is because he effed up so bad. I give Clinton full credit for stopping the genocide in Yugoslavia, wherever that place was. Everybody was watching all these people die, man. You know, and because he had so much bullshit going on, they thought it was like wag the dog, but he stopped it, and they split up those countries. I mean, it's like a side note in history, but he was president at the time, I believe. So that's not helping Americans, but you know, I give him some credit for that. But anyway, he still was getting his willy whacked and shit, man. You know. Anyway, so I just had a couple of videos I wanted to just real short, like for Nome, and I want to talk about this one that's coming up.
Here at CCOT today and visiting this facility. And first of all, I want to thank El Salvador and their president for their partnership with the United States of America to bring our terrorists here and to incarcerate them and have consequences for the violence that they have perpetuated in our communities.
Man, listen, I'm not going to show too much more of this. I wanted to get your guys' opinion. I personally think it was a mistake showing this place. I just think it was a mistake showing this place because Americans are pussies, man. You know, I mean, the bleeding heart people, man, they saw this shit. These guys probably all have like 10 bodies on themselves. And all they get is sympathy because they sleep in these cages. They sleep like that. You know, it's just me. I don't know whether I said, man, why y'all show all of this shit? And, you know, I said, everybody doesn't need to see all the sausage being made. You know, but what do y'all think? Yeah, go ahead, 100. Hey, go ahead.
Look, man, I think what's funny is watching this video, it looks cringy, but it feels like some shit they be doing to us over here. Like, hey, let's pose in front of the niggas. Let's pose in front of the niggas locked up. Like that shit looks crazy. In terms of like Americans being sad, being soft, and like, oh, there's too many people in the cage. I don't really know if I stand on that part because I mean, like, look, fam, you did the crime, you gotta do the time, all of that.
No, I'm with you. I'm not saying I feel sorry for him, but I think that, you know, all the angst, like all those damn Democrats going down there bleeding for the guy who beats the shit out of his wife and a gang member, is because they don't want him to go back to a prison like this, and they want to, and all the injunctions stopping them from trying to send more people here. So, Trey, what do you say, man? You're the law man.
I think if you break into someone's house, you're a criminal. I think if you break into the country, you should be given the same crime. So, I don't have a problem with anybody who immigrates to America as long as they go through the proper protocols and the proper procedures and the background checks are done. But if you're just going to walk into a country and nobody knows anything about you, where you come from, and what you possibly could have done, in your past, yeah, that's a problem, and you deserve to be exactly right where you are. And if anybody's ever been overseas, this is what the prisons look like overseas. If you've ever gone to any other country, you know, you don't get a little clean little 12 by 14 with 2 beds. And this is what the prisons look like overseas. So I'm not surprised. And by the way, when you start to talk about this, during Obama's campaign, he deported over 3 million. He wasn't giving due process to every single one of them. He wasn't giving them court dates. It looked just like this. And on top of that, he ran on closing Guantanamo Bay, yet he never closed Guantanamo Bay.
Right.
So
right.
I just find it funny how quickly liberals forget. They have a tendency to sort of forget all of the nonsense that they had for 8 years, and then the extended 4 years of the Biden campaign. And now that Trump is in office, it's like, oh, well, we can't do this stuff. But you guys did it for 12 years when y'all were in office. Why can't he do it?
Yeah, exactly.
Why we want to change rules all of a sudden?
Well, you know what? On that point, right? I just think that, and I think I'm gonna talk about it a little bit on another slide. The Republicans didn't use their right-leaning judges the way the Democrats are using them, the lawfare thing, right? Because we had enough, they had enough real conservative judges to say, why don't we put an injunction on this shit? Because everybody agreed back then to get these guys out of the country. That was a bipartisan issue. So I think the Democrats don't want to be bipartisan because they hate Trump. They don't want anything he does, they can't give him credit for. The market went up. This market went up today like crazy, right? And if you listen to MSNBC, it's because he caved to China, right? It's not like because they're getting a deal done. He caved, Zing one, Z1, that kind of bullshit. Come on, man. So, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm trying not to get too wrapped up in what the Democrats say. But listen, here's my, they got these guys in action. I mean, if you look at Bondi.
In our country, the DEA seized 11.5 kilos of fentanyl, including an astounding approximately 3 million fentanyl pills, the largest seizure in our nation's history. These are the pills in the bags right there. The main bottom right.
That was mine. I had this one.
The head of this organization, Sinaloa organization, here in the country illegally, 6 of these guys and women here in the country illegally. His name is Alberto Salazar Amaya. He is the leader.
This looks very boomerish.
In Salem, Oregon. With him, they got millions of dollars.
Talking about you
cash,
being up here
cars,
twice. You being up here
but
twice.
the drugs were in
but
Albuquerque, Phoenix, and Utah.
This was from my
That's
channel.
how
What can I say,
insulated
man?
these drug dealer cartel leaders make themselves. This was an incredible.
Wait, what are you trying to say? That boomers don't know use technology?
No, you was feeding into the allegations. You was feeding into the allegations. Yeah.
Oh, that shit is funny, man. I can't escape you young fucking guys, man. No way. But anyway, she had another part of it with Cash Patel. They busted one of the largest pedophile rings as well, pedo rings. Yep, they did, man. So the FBI came out. She came out with Cash Patel. They caught a whole net full of guys, man, going down. So,
in my opinion, there's only two things that Trump really needs to do in his entire 4 years, and he is going to walk away Teflon, platinum plated, never to be touched. Because that boy be doing some crazy shit. Like just what you just played right now, he gets to take credit for that. 3 million fentanyl pills, and they were all measured in at different levels. It was something like a couple $1 million that they grabbed off of him too. Like they got a whole bunch of shit. Like if they keep doing shit like that, then I'm telling you, he gonna put it on the table on y'all. He gonna put it on the table on y'all. But it's really only two things that I think he needs to do. And if this tariff shit works, if this tariff stuff works, and if he actually gets Doge money in people's hands, if he actually cuts Doge checks, I promise you, it's over with. It's over with. There's no way that a Democrat will win next rotation if he does those two things.
Man,
in my personal opinion.
I think if you voted liberal, you shouldn't get cut a check.
Yeah. So we just, you can listen. That wish they could do that, right? Because everybody's going to be conservative when the checks start coming out. All right. So like the Russian war, Ukraine war, Putin finally says he wants to sit down directly with Ukraine. That's one thing that's good. They can stop the bloodshed. They got the mineral deal with Ukraine. They got a mineral deal with the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. And they got some, I guess, headway in stopping the violence between the rebels and Uganda and DRC as well. Only thing I remember the demos doing for Africa was trying to spread homosexuality, and in return for whatever aid they were going to give. So he's talking about real business because Congo is rich. rich with minerals that we need for cars and everything else, for batteries, for every cobalt, whatever. They got a whole bunch of shit there. So we got a UK deal was signed, or they're still working on it. And then now we got the discussions over Sunday. I was telling my friend on Saturday, I said, man, if they come out with anything with Russia from this weekend, I said, the markets are going to soar. I said, they're going to soar. Just any kind of movement on that. And I was right. I said, man, shoot, man, everything is like nice. Green really feels good. I said, you know what? I said, today's going to be a pretty easy. I don't give a shit what happens tonight with the show because everything's green. I see green. You know, both of you guys look green to me. It's a joke on your watch, you know. Jesus Christ. You know, okay, boomers can't joke either. Anyway, so anyhow, man, so I just think that there's a lot more. Y'all have some stuff I didn't mention. What else you think? You guys have any ideas what y'all would consider good in the first 100 days that I didn't talk about?
Covered most of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that seemed like it to me.
I don't see anything about did you get the fraud, waste, and abuse up there?
No, you know what?
Identifying the fraud, waste, and abuse?
Oh, I had it as I thought Doge, just starting Doge, established Doge was one.
That was a part of establishing Doge? Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to talk a little bit about the fraud, waste, and abuse on the next chart. The next chart I'm going to talk about, though, is the bad, right? And I'm going to talk a little bit about, this is the chart I want to talk about first. Just to put some of the market in perspective, right? You know, I have my own little metrics of when the market declines and what's a correction, what's a consolidation, correction, capitulation, and a collapse. And so in my head, you know, how does this shit work? So it helps me stay grounded when I look at a pullback. But when we look at the 52-week highs, that's the top line there. And then we look at April 7th, when the tariffs first came out. These are the 52-week lows for each one of the indices, Dow Jones, NASDAQ, and S&P. So it declined from its 52-week high, 18, 25, and 21%. And here we are today, close of business on the 12th of May, and we're back within 5% of its 52-week high for the Dow Jones, back within 7% for the NASDAQ, and back within 4+% for the S&P. So to me, by the end of this month, I think we're going to be all the way back. By the end of June, I think there's going to be new 52-week highs. That's what I'm thinking. Even with like a little, we go up and down. I don't
agree with that.
You don't?
No, I don't agree with that. Trump is too volatile. Anything can happen in the next 2 weeks.
He's gonna say something. He's gonna say something.
June seemed a little early.
Because you have to understand that in the market, the money is made during volatility. And he knows that. He understands that game. So he's going to say something that's going to make the markets reverse at some point in time. And that's I'm serious. Look at his first 4 years. Look at how he was up and down, and the markets were very down, and they would reach new highs, and then he'd say something to bring him right back down. So he's just too volatile for us to hit, for it to do that.
All right. So right now, I think it's in his best interest to just make these deals. I think the next linchpin, and it depends on what happens first, is if the Fed chair lowers interest rates sometime between now and the end of June. I think that's going to spur some more, make the cost of borrowing money a little bit more palatable. That's going to be another market trigger, since we do know that he's not doing it now because he hates Trump. So when he gets to that point when he actually lowers interest rates, we're doing it because he has some allegiance to doing his job properly. That's more important than his hatred of Trump. And I think that's going to move the market as well. I'm not saying it's going to blow up for heavens, but I think we're going to see, I think we'll probably see something close to where these numbers get closer to the 52-week high. But between now and June, the end of June, it's a couple of months. I think it's possible. Now, we're not going to see a whole bunch of 1,000-point days. I'm not saying that. But I think it could ebb and flow up to there on a steady new increase. I think the momentum is with us. It's supposed he hits another deal with the UK, not the UK, but the European Union. Finalize the deal with China, and the products start flowing again. I'm trying to think give me an example of what he might say that would take the momentum away.
That's the thing. I couldn't tell you what he was going to say because he is just that.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, I mean he's just that unpredictable. I can't sit here and tell you he might say something.
I'm gonna tell you what fucked me up not too long ago.
Go ahead.
Especially considering that we don't the deal with China isn't complete yet,
right?
And you know that the negotiations have a tendency to fall through in like the waning hours, like right before you're supposed to sign everything, somebody will bring something up and go, what about this? And it's like the whole deal then falls apart. And if that happens, he's liable to say anything the next morning.
I know, man.
He don't even have to say anything that has to do with anything that's going on for real. Like I saw something not too long ago. He had tweeted, I got gas lower than Biden ever has. It's at 198, and I'm like, where the fuck is gas 198 at, dog? Like, where is it? Where's gas 198 at? Like, he don't even have to say anything that has anything to do with anything. All he got to do is just tweet some wild ass shit that's just an obvious lie, and everything's gonna go to hell. All of the internet and all of the news networks gonna be like, Trump is a liar. He's setting us up to die, and then everything gonna go erratic again.
That's true. But, I have something. I think that's the ugly part of what's going on, that the fourth estate has lost all of their credibility. But that's on the next page. So on this one, the legislator, right, we have all these activist judges. I think, to me, they're overstepping their bounds. But, the legislator, Mike Johnson, and Thune, they could actually bring legislation to rein these judges in. And the fact that they haven't done it is kind of pissing me off. I think that's bad because they know what to do, and they're not doing it because that's a Title III, Article 3 power that they have, and they won't do it. And they're talking about doing it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and play this real quick. It's not long either.
Let's start here with House Speaker Mike Johnson also issuing an open threat to the federal judiciary today. Johnson saying that Congress has the authority to pull funding to federal courts. The congressman also adding that he is open to the idea here of potentially impeaching judges who rule against the president, saying that, quote, everything is on the table. Well, this comes as the White House faces high-stakes legal battles over the deportation of alleged Venezuelan gang members and an executive order banning transgender service members from the military. So I want to bring back Jay, who, of course, is on the Hill alongside ABC News investigative reporter Olivia Rubin, who's with us now as well. And so, first of all, Jay, what more do we know here about Speaker Johnson's comments? And what are you hearing from lawmakers on the Hill? Because I think the real question here is there weight behind this threat?
So Johnson's gotten some pressure from lawmakers in his own party to be open to impeaching federal judges who rule against President Trump. But he didn't go that far today. Instead, he made this veiled threat where he said Congress is in charge of the budgets of these various courts. They're in charge of the drawing and makeup of these federal court districts where these district court judges preside. He's also thrown his weight behind this legislation from Darrell Issa of California to try to rein in how broad an injunction can be. You remember injunctions because every time there's some executive order from President Trump, and the same goes for the Biden administration with conservative judges, a judge would block that executive order from going into effect while a broader court case plays out. Darrell Issa's bill wants to try to rein in that power. Mike Johnson has said Republicans are going to put it on the floor next week for a vote, but he's not going the full length Canada.
See, I cut it off there only because, they're not going to impeach any of these judges, but they will, if they bring this legislation to the floor to rein in how they're using their power, which they have, the legislature has the power to do. That's going to be another interesting thing going down. So you won't have some podunk judge in, left rank Mississippi saying, I'm going to put a national hold on everything they're doing. I can only handle the case in my district. I think we're finding the flaws in the system, just as Trump tests the boundaries of the executive office, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, by the way. Now we're seeing some of the holes in the judicial side of it, because there's no way a district judge in one area should be able to put a nationwide injunction on everything else. I think that's a mistake. And then if you have to go to the Supreme Court to get them to step on these assholes, that's too much too. So they've got some work to do on that. So every so often you need to find the boundaries of how this balance is. And I think that's the so-called constitutional crisis everybody's talking about. It ain't a crisis. That's how the system works. And if it doesn't work properly, and the Republicans don't exercise it enough, sometimes they just let shit go. But the Democrats, if it means slowing Trump down, they're going to use everything they possibly can. So I think that's bad on the Republicans for not really acting faster. The other thing I have a problem with is law enforcement. The state governments are not obliged to cooperate with the federal law, right? Mainly, in the blue states, they tell the ICE and the federal guys, kiss my ass. And the only thing that comes to my mind, that's exactly how the terrorists blew up the World Trade Center, because the CIA and the FBI weren't mandated to share information. Now, this might not lead to that, but we have law enforcement organizations that that are not obligated to somehow cooperate or share information.
I think there might be a false equivalency, though.
Well, hold on. I was going to say that it's not the same level, but it's the same thought. That organization. If I'm an ICE guy, and you got criminals in your jail cell, that all I need to do is go to the jail cell and get them out while you have them in captivity. That's safe for everybody. No gunplay, no nothing. You hand them over to me, right? As opposed to letting those guys out, and I got to go out in the street and get them. Now, that's not the World Trade Center, but it could be a shootout.
Though I hear what you're saying, that does open the door for like the FBI to decide, you know what? I feel like going to grab Trey. Let me see what's up with him. Like if they are going to open that door, now you're also opening the door to just doing shit all willy-nilly. Like just fuck it. You know what? Let me go down to Georgia and see who I can go pick up for the sake of it.
No. They would have to have they have a reason. They would have to have a reason to go into your jail, because the guy was identified as an illegal alien. Right? He can't just be a regular citizen. The guys are identified. We got a whole bunch of illegals here, but they're not obligated to tell ICE that they have illegals. In some places, they can't even determine their status, which is stupid. Right? I think it's just stupid. I don't know, Trey, you weigh in. But I hear what you're saying. 100.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in the department, we didn't deal with immigration. So even if we pulled somebody over and they were a legal immigrant, it wasn't like we called ICE to come get them.
But did y'all even care they were illegal?
Nope, didn't even care. Didn't even care that they were illegal. It didn't matter that they were illegal, because that wasn't what we were. I mean, although DC is not a state, right. DC is not a state, but that's not our job. Our job isn't deportation, immigration, and customs and whatnot. So, people literally we could pull people over and they would be illegals and write them tickets, and they don't pay it. They just don't pay it. They ain't supposed to be here. But I think if you try to get these two to work together, I think you'll get more problems than you will get solutions at the end of the day. I think the states need to maintain their ability to police their state. Yeah, they need to maintain their autonomy and police their state as they see fit. And the feds need to be able to come into the states and come get the people they've identified as targets, be able to come in and get them. And you still are always going to have state and federal. They're always going to work together. I worked with the DEA. I worked with ATF when I was in the department. You're going to work together at some point in time. But you don't. I just don't think that trying to get them to talk, because then let me tell you what it really happens. It winds up becoming a pissing contest. That's really ultimately what it winds up becoming. It winds up becoming a dick swinging contest. Well, we're the feds, we're federal government. Well, we're the states. Yada. sheriffs, and it gets convoluted.
I know. Listen, I don't disagree with what both of you guys just said. I mean, I just threw it out there only because, it just, but you're right about the community. It can go left. It could definitely go left. But there is a consequence for them not talking. But the fact that the laws are written that way, there's probably a reason why it's the way it is. You know what I'm saying? There's probably a reason why the feds can't force themselves on the states that way. So, but it can get frustrating if you're trying to get numbers, especially if you can get them safely. It's probably more cost effective, but there's always an unintended consequence for changing shit, man. So I know that. All right, financial accountability, Doge. Okay, I think that they're finding a lot of stuff, the waste and the abuse. But if there's fraud, I need to see some perp walks, man. I need to see somebody in cuffs. Right there. If you're telling me that, $500 is going somewhere in the diaspora, who's on the other end of that shit? And I know it might take some, ferreting through to find out who the culprits are. But, we need to, we're going to, in the next 100 days, somebody's got to be in handcuffs, or somebody's got to be in handcuffs for the fraud part. That's what I'm thinking. I think that's bad that we don't have a face to the fraud. And I think that goes to credibility as well. You could tell me there's a fraud, but who's committing it? That's just my part. The other part I agree with. I think there's waste that's easily found, abuse that's easily found, but the fraud part, there's got to be a perp somewhere. Yeah. Okay, you guys, man, y'all tell me. Am I off?
I don't agree with that at all.
You can have fraud without a perp.
I like that they uncovered the fraud. I like that they uncovered the waste. But here's the issue that a lot of people don't realize. Locking up your best friend that put up millions of dollars to your campaign once you find out that he's on this list. You're not doing it. You're not doing it. Right? The truth of the matter is that the truth of the matter is that when Trump got this list, there was some names on that list he recognized. I promise you. I promise you there were some names on that list that he recognized. And he's not. Here's the thing. We have a world. We have a bunch of people who want to be. They take this moral high road and this sort of righteousness, this sort of world. But the truth of the matter is that when your back is to the wall, you're gonna start to make some business decisions just like everybody else. And I guarantee you that Trump looked at that list and went, yeah, let's just leave this alone, because if we lock them up, we're gonna have to lock up my homeboy who gave me $30 million, and I don't want to do that.
That's a dangerous game. That's a dangerous game they playing. Like I believe that to be true. Very, very true. And that's a dangerous game you playing. Like y'all basically just playing in people's face. Like you just playing in my motherfucker. You're telling me, you're looking at me in my face and telling me that the money I'm giving you is not going to what it's supposed to go to. But don't worry about who did it though. What?
Now they did mention a woman.
The United States government. They've been doing it for years. It's nothing new.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
No, but see, here's the difference. But here's the thing, though. But the difference is the government has never created a department to say we stealing money. We stealing money. They don't point out the fact that they stealing from you to then say don't worry about who doing it. Normally they just
I don't think Doge.
No, we're not stealing. We ain't doing nothing over here.
Normally, I don't think that Doge was. I don't think Doge was created to arrest people.
Mm-mm.
I don't believe that he wanted to create this portion of the government so that he could put people in handcuffs and start slapping charges on people. I think it was created to do exactly what it did, expose.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wanted to expose the Democrat side of it, but I think once he started to get the information and the investigation started to come back, he's looking at it like going, hold on. Some of these guys Republicans. You know what I mean? Like,
there's no doubt there's got to be something.
To some degree, our pain, it backfired. To some degree, it backfired.
Yeah,
it kind of did, because they basically looking at us in the face and saying, "I fuck with my homies more than I fuck with y'all as a country."
For sure,
yeah.
For sure. That's American politics. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is we may not see no perp walks like that unless there's something they can completely separate and it's like a bipartisan thing, right? Because I think they mentioned a
It has
lady.
to be egregious, Payne. I mean,
Egregious and a
I mean, look,
minority.
you had a Nancy Pelosi in office that was literally admitting to insider trading right in front of all of us. And she was never arrested by the SEC. You know what I mean? Like they do it all the time. It's right there in front of us. You got to pay attention. I can make an argument that during Trump's first campaign, he was violating SEC rules. And he should have been arrested. Although you can't arrest the president, but I can make an argument that he was violating SEC rules and that he was manipulating the stock market with his little press conferences outside of Marine One before he got on Marine One or Air Force One. I can make an argument there. So you know what I mean? Like that's what they do. You as a citizen got to be smart enough to realize how to play it to your favor because they're not going to stop. They're just going to keep making themselves more and more money.
Well, unfortunately, they're educating. Unfortunately, they're unintentionally educating ignorant people, and they're doing it to themselves.
Well, let's see. I just think that even if there's some shortcomings, Doge is going to find some shit that's going to be beneficial in the long run. Now, how that translates to putting money, back into the coffers of the people, the $5,000, I think, was like a red herring. They just threw a number out there, but I don't think we can go $5 grand. But it'd be nice. And like you said, if it ever came, I'm taking it. I know everybody's taking it, Democrat and Republican. Anyway, geopolitics, the Oval Office spat with Zelensky. Right now, it was something that happened a while ago. It didn't really, it didn't damage anything, but I thought that the Trump guys were a little bit naive to not be able to catch that Zelensky could use this to his benefit, right? And that's what he did, So, and even though I think my man Vance started it, I think it was Vance, but it was, it was something that should have been avoided. Because they announced that they had a deal before they had a deal, and Zelensky said, we may have a deal, but one more thing, while I'm in front of all the cameras, and it blew up. I thought it was kind of funny, but that was in the past. But I thought that was a bad thing in general. But it wasn't like, men arguing with each other every so often is not. It's just to be expected, especially when you don't want to lose power, right? Zelensky didn't want to lose power, man. He just doesn't want to lose power. Another legislator, the backlog of the executive orders. There's too many executive orders out there. Some of them are redundant, but the ones that he wants to keep need to be codified. They need to go through the legislation and become law. And all of them shouldn't become laws, but I think we're going to have birthright citizenship answer to that one soon, because I think that is in the Supreme Court. Have you guys heard it? I think that's there. We're going to get an announcement on that at some point. But the question to you guys, what do y'all think about birthright citizenship?
Ooh. I mean, my grandmother was an immigrant, so I see the value of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see how it's helpful. You know what? I think at least for now, I think I'm gonna just stand on it because I think it would kind of be I see how it would kind of be fucked up to like have a kid born here and then tell them that you're not allowed to stay. But at the same time, it's like, what you supposed to do? Keep the kid here and kick his mama out? You know what I'm saying? I think it's one of them fickle things, but I don't know, man. If you manage to get your ass over here, legal or not, if you finessed your way over here and you got a kid out, like you worked your way through the system, you found a loophole and you slid in. I ain't mad at you, cuz like you figured it out and you did it. I ain't mad at you.
What about you, Trey?
I look at this like a craps game. Yeah, the odds of you rolling a 7 are high. It doesn't mean that you're always going to roll a 7. If you manage to get into the country and you somehow work the system and you got in and you did it, it doesn't make sense to me for them to kick you out of the country or kick your parents out with you. You're here, you had the baby here in America. The child is an American citizen. You got to keep the parents, because otherwise that child just became a burden on the system, right? Because the child stays, but the parents go, right? And so somebody got to take care of the kid. So
Right.
it makes more sense to have.
Most mothers will take the kid with them anyway. We already have an instance of that.
I get that, but I don't think that would happen in today's society. I think if they had a chance to give their child a better life, they would leave their child here. I mean, you know, we got, for instance, we have women who are married, like overseas, who are married, and I'm sorry, not married. They will have a kid with a man, and the man overseas will let the woman get remarried to an American and take the kid with them because it's just a better life for the kid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so, you know, if they're here, they're big ass. If they're here and they're born on U.S. soil, I don't see any reason to change it.
I mean, Trey, if anyone should go to jail and pay, that's like that. Big Ed.
I agree, Big Ed, because he's a boomer. He's a boomer. He should go.
I should go to jail. Man, get out of here, man. I'm the one who should be free. You know, damn. And listen, I agree. I don't want to see them change.
I'm sorry to backtrack real quick.
Okay.
I just seen what you just. I don't pay attention to the comments like that, but for some reason I just looked and I just seen the list of states that Trey put on there for cheap gas, and I need to know where in Virginia you can find this at, because I just put gas in my car day before yesterday and it's $2.97.
Yeah, this was earlier. This is not current. It wasn't current, but those were the states where at some point in time it dropped to under $2. But everything is over $2 right now.
Yeah.
Some are like where I'm at in Maryland is $2.73. So everything's over $2.
Yeah, well, you gotta also calculate how far you gotta drive to get cheap gas. You know,
and the price of gas changes every day. It's very rare that it's the same price every day, but that was old.
You know. But anyway, I agree with you guys, man. I don't want them to change that particular law. That was that's one of his first executive orders to say he can't change the Constitution based on an executive order. That just has to go up to the top. And so I think so the only other bet is, what is the Supreme Court going to say? And I think they're not going to change. I'm going to think they're going to tell him that he can't change the interpretation of that particular clause.
To be honest, I think that kind of benefits the country in a way, for real, because if you have a family that comes over here and has a kid, if I'm going to have hope for humanity, I would think that these people would then go out, go get a job. Now they're, productive members of society, and, think that now their kids are in school and shit like that. Like they're a part of the American dream now, per se. You know what I'm saying? Like they're supposed to be now adding into all of those things.
No, I agree. Let's keep
it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. They're gonna pay taxes. They're gonna pay taxes. So it's beneficial. It's beneficial to keep them if they somehow got to the country.
Yes, I mean here's the mushy part, right? I think that's one of the things that makes America special. That if you actually got here through the burning sands and shit, and you had a kid here, that kid should be able to have a better life than you would have back home, and we shouldn't try to take that away. I mean, even the inception of the 14th Amendment that gave us as Black people the rights to be citizenship was, altruistic, kind of, right? That shit didn't have to go through. So why can't we share that with the world, right? I mean, listen, when the white people put the Constitution together for the United States, this place was supposed to be just a safe haven for other white people. They didn't have it. You think they had all of us in mind? Hell no. So the point really is that you could interpret, the broadness of the way you could interpret it means that, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness written that way could apply to every man and woman. So anyway, man, so that's my theory on it. So I hope they don't overturn that. That shit will cause more problems than good. That might be the shit that he doesn't really want. That might have some real unintended consequences. My last one was on this sheet for the bad. I mean, it's not the last bad, but my last bad. And this is crazy, is that I think nature is out of balance. And 92% support for Black women reinforces the fact that their incessant inferiority complex leaves them most vulnerable to liberal propaganda by providing attention and affirmation, leading to extremely bad outcomes, especially for young boys and their sons. So that's the way I feel about that, man. So, that 92% is a big problem. It's not because they're just voting. I think it's a mindset that erects the big fat black statue down in Times Square, that kind of shit, that kind of thinking. So I think it's
I'm
all
sorry.
bad.
I'm a little slow. I'm not really understanding what number 6 means.
Well, I'm thinking that it's a hive mind that can be easily manipulated by feminism, by propaganda, by the Democrats. And because if you understand, and maybe you do or maybe you don't, that our sisters have a massive inferiority complex when it comes to the way they look and compared to what some people call the standards. And I'm saying they could be manipulated. And that's why that's why the liberal Black woman, as far as I'm concerned, should never be president of the United States. Never. So because everything goes.
Have been manipulated, Arpain.
Yeah.
They have already been manipulated.
Have been
The work was done when they instituted welfare and started giving them welfare. The work was done. So they've already been manipulated. The issue now is that they started to teach the generations under them.
Yes. I think it's
the same stuff.
Right. I think it's a major issue. I mean, it really is. They're out of balance, and I don't know. And then listen, I mean, there's other context to this 100. I have and I did this before. I have like 4 pages of Black female liberal mayors, AGs, judges, all of them dropped the ball. I mean, just dropped the bag, man, doing stupid shit. Just doing stupid shit with the power that they got.
Either fired or in jail.
Yeah. Easy ones. I mean, Tiffany Henry is like the tip of the iceberg. Of course, the popular ones, Fannie, by stroking her subordinate. If he was her boss and he stroked her out, he wouldn't be able to find a job anyway. Certainly not keep his AG job. And then here's the way they manipulate certain men. Then the pastor of the big church down there in Atlanta gave her the pulpit to spew her adulterous bullshit to his congregation. I mean, when you don't have no accountability, nobody hold you to a standard worthwhile, and you're behind a pulpit talking your bullshit to my congregation with no admonishment at all. That shit is not the way we're supposed to live. So I just think that that's a bad one. I could have put that shit on the ugly, but it's just it's only on the bad because maybe I made a mistake. I was a mistake because I really wanted to put it on the ugly. So I said, let me leave it here. Now go ahead and tell me what's your problem with it. I mean, I'm seeing you having trouble with it, but I think it's all, I think the way we move politically is important. I think it really is, and the hive mind has been destructive. Even the Black man hive mind has been destructive. At least it seems like we're coming off the plantation. This last, because how much disrespect can we continue to have in the Democratic Party? They're even trying to define what a man is. A man's supposed to be soft and crying and, in touch with his feminine side, grow a pair of titties and
a man can wear a dress.
Yeah.
I just saw an article with A$AP Rocky, and he was talking about how who came up with the idea that there's a line of demarcation between feminine and masculine, and that he didn't want to have any barriers, so he wears Rihanna's clothes from time to time.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
His words, not mine. I'm not making that up. That's what he said to the reporter, and it was in there. Yeah, like I'm not, because the first thing that came to mind for me was, I don't think I've ever dated a woman like the same size as me that I can even wear. Like even if I tried, I don't think I could wear her clothes. I've never dated a woman the same size as me. But it reminded me that he's a little guy. They probably about the same size, so he can wear her clothes. But it all came on the heels of that the Vogue cover. Remember the Vogue cover where he was holding his baby and looked like she was leading him, and people were losing their minds behind that, like, oh, she's leading. And so then there's another article, and he's saying that. So, look, I don't have a problem. Nature, to some degree. I mean, even black men, they're a part of this. The majority of black men still vote liberal and Democrat. So, even this, to me, like I said, I haven't seen the benefit. I haven't seen the benefits since I was a kid. Ever since I started voting, I was 18, I voted Republican. So I've never seen it. Ever.
He's gonna do whatever he needs to say. Hey, listen, man. She's having all his kids, so I think he's in a good spot right now.
Yeah, but he's stupid. He ain't married her. You got to get that. You got the baby. Oh, as far as I know, I don't think they're married.
No,
I find it funny that wealthy women, when they're wealthier than the man, they don't get married.
Oh, hell,
you never find that? You see that? Typically, when they're wealthy, when they're the wealthier one, they don't get married. I find that quite interesting.
That is funny as hell. That's low key the first time that I've heard that shit, and that is funny as hell.
All right, so I'm gonna move on. I do have my little musical joint on that one, but I'm not gonna play it. Anyway, political, the ugly, right? Politically, the disintegration of the leadership of the far left liberal Democratic Party. There's no discernible plan for the future there, other than their psychotic Trump derangement syndrome. I haven't heard anything come out of the Democrats at all that's worthwhile politically in a long time. All they talk about is how much they hate Trump. No matter what he does, I hate Trump. I hate Trump. I hate Trump. It's just crazy. I mean, can y'all think of anything these guys have come up with? And who their new leaders are emerging? AOC, communists, pretty much a communist. And Bernie Sanders, hey, listen, man, Bernie Sanders, 83 years old. He ain't leading nothing.
Yeah, they don't got no chance.
Well, you guys see Jasmine Crockett being the president?
No. And it's not because she's not capable. I think she'll shoot herself in the foot before she even gets a chance. That's what I'm saying. I think she'll shoot herself in the foot. I told you. I think it's AOC's to lose.
Yeah, I think sometimes we have a tendency of trying too hard to keep it real that we not realizing what you fucking up by keeping it real. Like you kind of burning bridges doing that shit, dog.
Well, she got the new thing about the soft white man. What did she say? They're gonna put up a soft white man. I think she's talking about Gavin Newsom. But
see, you can't see, and this is the thing. Now everybody think that this Trump way is the way to go about the policy. They think coming in here, being disrespectful, talking crazy to people. It's a lot of politicians that's about to think that's the wave, man. Look, man, everybody not Michael Jordan, dog. You can't be MJ.
You can't all wear that, man. You can't all wear that, cursing
and
out of pocket.
I know that analogy is gonna piss a lot of people off to say that Trump is Michael Jordan. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, you can't always play like the motherfucker that you watching on the court. You can't always do that. Like, you gotta play your game. You know what I'm saying? There's some of that shit is ridiculous.
Well, that was my, so that one there, I think that, I don't know if y'all have anything to say about that. The fourth estate, the way the media is handling their Trump derangements is they've lost all credibility. There's no balance whatsoever. And, I'm not even going to start naming any particular media, but if you look at all the legacy media, where's the balance? Where is it? Here's an interaction with Trump and this lady. This is recent.
to you? Why not leave it
Your
behind?
ABC fake news, right?
Why
It's
not?
only ABC. Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you.
Go ahead,
You
yeah.
say to people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you, why not leave it
Your
behind?
ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
It's only ABC. Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you. You should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us. I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much. You know,
What was the
there
question
an old
again?
golfer named Sam Snead. Did you ever hear him? He won 82 tournaments. He was a great golfer.
Let me stop it for a second. The government of Qatar, they're giving the president as a present for the United States a jet, a big ass jumbo jet, right? And he accepted it. And so now this lady is trying to say, well, if they offer you the jet, why take it? You know, and she said it's going to be personal, but you got to hear the whole thing out. So it's about a jet, a gift from that regime.
Had a motto: when they give you a putt, you say thank you very much. You pick up your ball and you walk to the next hole. A lot of people are stupid. They say no, I insist on putting it. Then they putt it, and they miss it, and their partner gets angry at them. You know what? Remember that Sam Snead. When they give you a putt, you pick it up and you walk to the next hole and you say, thank you very much.
Respectfully, sir.
That's awesome. He used a golf reference. That's
Given
amazing.
a gift worth millions of dollars and then not
See,
receive
yeah,
it?
everybody can't get that
It's a
off.
gift to the Department of Defense, and you should know better because you've been embarrassed enough, and so has your network. Your network is a disaster. ABC is a disaster. Here is the bill. Bobby, come on over here. Now you're talking about.
So the point really is that the jet wasn't for him, right? The jet was for that a gift to the United States that he's given to the department, another department.
The problem
And
is
so,
nobody believes him.
well, it doesn't matter whether they believe him, but the truth of the matter is, she probably already knows the answer. That's what he's getting mad at. She knows what the answer is. So she just wanted to sue that to embarrass him or try to put him on the thing. You don't think the news media knows that he's not going to accept the jet personally? They already know that. So that's why he got mad, because if that was a secret, he probably wouldn't have been. But they knew what the jet was going to go through. He knows he can't accept the goddamn jet personally. We can't even, working for the government, we can't even get a pen set from somebody. Shit. I mean, it's just, man, that's why he's so frustrated with these guys, man. It was just a disingenuous, and if she didn't know, she was a fool. That's what he also said, man. You know what? I don't need to protect the guy, but I think I like it. What you think about that? You thought the analogy was good, huh, Trey?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a golfer, so
Yeah.
I thought it was a great analogy, and he's absolutely right. And Sam Snead is absolutely right. When they give you the putt, you just go grab your ball, you say thank you, and you keep it moving. You don't putt
That's
it out
right.
anyway. But here's my issue: Kenneth Copeland takes a free jet, right? He cons his church into giving him a jet, no problems. Creflo Dollar told him that God told him in a dream to go tell his congregation that he needed a jet. And he got one. $250 million later, he got one.
Did they get him a jet?
So why can't Trump get one offered from Qatar? If the leaders of the churches are getting them, why can't the leader of the free world get one?
I know you just being
Greasy is as greasy does.
You just being. There's no way he could accept the jet.
Maybe the other presidents are jealous that they weren't offered a jet. I don't know. I don't see the problem with it. This to me is a first world rich man issue. Nobody's ever offered me a jet, so I don't care. It's not a problem of mine. I ain't got billions of dollars. You know what I mean?
And the funny thing is, man, they peel that shit off like it's a dollar bill, probably. Oh, yeah, you want a jet? Yeah, you can have a jet. I mean, those guys are just so flush with money, they don't know what to do, man. I swear.
Yeah, that shit funny. Yo, I got a jet I ain't used all year. Go ahead, take that shit back home with you,
That's
dog.
right.
I ain't even touched that motherfucker. Go ahead and take it with you, bro.
Anyway,
Do what you want with it.
Okay, America Last. I have a big issue with blue state governors, mayors, and their council members. and their, love and protection of illegals, because they conflate their conflation between the illegals they want to protect and the people they have affinity for I think it's blinding their judgment. The fact is that if you're in a country illegally, you got to rectify that one way, shape, form, or fashion. It doesn't make you, no matter, even if you're likable, it doesn't absolve you from the fact that you're here illegally. It just doesn't. So they need to reconcile that, and I think their belligerence and their arrogance against the federal government is going to get some of them in trouble, because some of them are actually, setting up safe havens. So that could be, we could have some big legal fights in the future because of that. What say you guys? On the way to, I mean, you just look at Illinois. The governor came out saying some bullshit that sound real close to, breaking the law.
I think Trey said something earlier about a lot of people not knowing what's going on in the country for real, and I've definitely been one of those people. Like I just started paying attention. It was probably the Hillary Trump election when I actually started paying attention, because Obama was just, like, at the time, like, being young and whatever, Obama was like, all right, he black, I'm voting Obama, cool. That's easy. I don't even got to pay attention. I'm voting Obama. I don't even got to pay attention. So then Trump, Hillary, like, actually paying attention. Now it's just like looking at it, it's the game that these people are playing is so fucking disgusting. It's so fucking disgusting. to like, we spending so much time talking about shit that ain't got shit to do with shit for real. Like, why it's homeless people, there are veterans that's not receiving any help. We got all this money in food stamps and Section 8 instead of trying to like do other shit than just give people free money every month. Like, it's just part of that Doge thing where it's like, how much money are we really putting into this, and for what, for why, and what is the reason? I see. I respect somebody that comes to this country and gets it out the mud and make it happen, but somebody that come over here and get it handed to you and then you make it happen, I have no respect for that, like none whatsoever. I no respect for that at all.
Man, that's just the way it is. Yeah, what you got something to say on that, Trey? No. Anyway, but okay, so that's that. Those politicians bother me. And now we got two judges, one in Wisconsin and one in New Mexico, that actually broke the law, right? And now they're up. They gave their they gave their careers away for criminals. I mean, real criminal, not the lovely dovey, little niece that's here by accident, but real criminal.
Breaking news, the FBI has just arrested a Milwaukee judge accused of trying to help a man evade immigration authorities. In a now deleted post on X, the FBI director writes that Judge Hannah Dugan intentionally misdirected agents. ABC News Justice reporter Alex Mallon has the details. Alex, what do we know so far?
Well, we don't know why the FBI director deleted that post, but we do know from our affiliate in Wisconsin that Judge Hannah Dugan did make her initial appearance this morning. She was charged with 2 federal crimes. That includes concealing a person from discovery and arrest, and the second count is obstruction of federal proceedings. She appeared, her attorney in that court proceeding said that, quote, Judge Dugan wholeheartedly protests the arrest, and the judge ended up actually ordering her released after that hearing. We expected she will plead not guilty to those charges. But this is a dramatic escalation, obviously, of the Trump administration's, war with the judiciary. They have been previewing the possibility that they would seek charges against any judge or federal officer or even state officers who they say obstruct lawful deportation efforts by this administration. But obviously, this is a dramatic escalation of that.
Okay, so you see the words that he used, dramatic escalation. It's not an escalation. It's shit. This chick, while this guy beat the shit out of 2 people in the courtroom that he was in there for, the chick found out that ICE was going to take him away. She stopped the proceedings took him and his lawyer in the back room, right, and left the two, I guess, plaintiffs in the courtroom with their lawyer. First, we have an ex parte situation going on. She walks him to the back door and lets the dude out. And then the ICE guys find out, and they had to run him down in the streets because he was running away. So there's no what escalation this asshole's talking about.
And they detail this. We just got these court charges that were unsealed. Basically, on April 18th, they say that Judge Dugan had an undocumented immigrant set to appear before her in court, and they allege that she helped facilitate him evading ICE officers who were present and ready to arrest him at that court. They say that they were actually able to later arrest him on the street, that he fled them. But now they are bringing those charges, saying that they're formally accusing this judge of trying to help this undocumented immigrant who was charged of facing state charges of assault and battery and was appearing before her at that time on April 18th. So obviously, we're going to watch the developments. This is going to be a very contentious and closely watched case as we see this administration really take head on this idea that they say that state officials are seeking to obstruct their federal efforts to crack down on illegal immigration.
Enough of this guy. Okay, so that's that one judge. Now this guy here, I think he was on the payroll.
A New Mexico judge resigned from the bench after an alleged Tren de Aragua gang member was arrested at his home. Doña Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano wrote his resignation on March 3rd, but the Supreme Court and 3rd Judicial District Court did not receive it till March 31st. A spokesman for the Administrative Office of the Courts, AOC, told Fox News Digital. Homeland Security Investigations Las Cruces began looking into Venezuelan native Christian Ortega Lopez in January. Lopez is an illegal alien from Venezuela and a suspected member of a criminal gang who was residing with other illegal aliens and in possession of firearms, court documents suggest. 2 search warrants were executed at a home investigators on February 28th, identified as owned by Cano's wife, Nancy Cano. Ortega Lopez and his roommates were taken into custody, and agents seized 4 firearms from April Cano's residence. April Cano is the daughter of Nancy and Joel, court documents state. Ortega Lopez was found by investigators posing with weapons in social media posts, some of which he said were owned by April Cano, who allowed him to hold and sometimes shoot various firearms. Ortega Lopez admitted to illegally entering the U.S. from Mexico in December 2023, according to court documents. He reportedly told investigators he was living in an El Paso apartment with 5 others when he met Nancy Cano. To install a glass door for her.
You guys get to listen, man. This guy, I mean, I think this judge was on the payroll. That's what I think. I think he was not only just helping, I think he might have been on the payroll. So we got judicial misconduct. That's ugly. And then, of course, we got all the fanning the flames of violence, what they did to Tesla, all of those kind of things are going up. So, that's just another of some burning Teslas, man. I don't need to show that. So the point really is that it's just bad out there. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly of everything, man. I didn't mean that one. So what do you guys think? So, what do y'all think about the first 100 days? Why don't we start from there?
America's a great place to be the main character in your own HBO series. Because, good Lord. I think this 100 days is not any. I don't see much different in this 100 days than many other 100 days, other than the fact that for some reason a large percent of the media and people don't like Trump for whatever reason or another. Whether your reasoning is justified or whatever the case, a lot of people don't like this man.
Yeah,
and it seemed like they're not even allowing this man the space to fuck it up. Like, as soon as you say something, that's a lie. Like, as soon as he say anything out his mouth, they ready to tell him that he lying. So I really don't think that he's any different than any president that we've seen prior to him. someone would have to point out a difference to me for me to be able to see it. I don't really see the difference.
What about you, Trey? I have some comments on that, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with his first 100 days. I think he checked a lot of boxes.
mm-hmm.
I think people think that politics is perfect. I think, yeah, he said a lot of things, and he said he was going to be able to end the war, the Ukraine-Russian war, like that. Didn't he say that? He said, I'll be able to.
Day one.
Like
Day one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
day one. I mean, the word is hyperbole. I mean, obviously we know he wasn't going to be able to do that in day one, but I think he's done obviously far more than the last regime did into ending it. General deals out of it. So I'm not one of these guys that looks at politics and is like, this is right, this is wrong. I understand that people who are elected into positions are greedy and have agendas, you know what I mean? And they're working their own agenda. And I always try to figure out, how does that work for me in mine? How do I get something out of that myself? You know what I mean? Trump and them and his regime, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Ain't really much I can do about it. All I can do is work it into a system that's beneficial to me. But as far as his first 100 days went, I think some of the things that he said that he was going to do, he got done. And there's obviously some things that he said he was going to be able to do that he either is still working on, or there ain't a fat chance of hell he's going to be able to get it done.
Right. I mean, listen, I never really paid them close attention, to the first 100 days myself with any of these other presidents. I do know the biggest difference I see is that I've never seen a president that I've voted for who had a whole bunch of shit they said they were going to do and actually did them, or at least attempted to do them. There was always some derailment along the way, or they got sidetracked down some avenue that they put all their energy in. Everything that he's doing now, he said he was going to do. I mean, whether it's accomplished or not, I think that's unique because he gave. And this is why the opposition is really crazy. And maybe that's why they're so mad. It's because he gave everybody an opportunity to choose. He said what he was going to do for the gender affirming care. He said what he was going to do for the, this is they for them, they them. Trump is for you. You know what I'm saying? He said all this shit, man. He said he was going to use tariffs. He said all of that stuff. It's not a surprise to anybody. And he actually tried to do them. And so I just think that's unique. I've never really realized anybody doing that before. And that's why I'm saying maybe I wasn't paying attention, but this first 100 days was action packed. I didn't have to do that much studying or that much research to put that first chart together. It's just in front of us every day.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look at Biden's first 100 days. I don't remember it being as impactful, but I'm gonna be fair about it and actually go back and
right. So that's me. Same thing. I wasn't paying attention back then. For all the presidents I voted for, I wasn't paying attention. But they always do mark the first 100 days, right? The first 100 days for every president became a thing. I don't know when it happened, but it became a thing.
Yeah, I think condensing four years into the first 100 days it's kind of wild, because after the first 100 days, like, a lot of people are not paying attention no more. Like, you just kind of just go back into normal life and everything's back to the way it was. And it's like condensing your expectations of a president in the first 100 days, I don't think is realistic.
Yeah, you can look at it that way. I would imagine the stuff that he initiated. I think with him, I think we need to look at what the second 100 days are. And I think as far as my mind is concerned, I'm going to be looking at his presidency every 100 days. Like, like the business people, like they look at their quarterly reports every quarter, every 3 months. I'm going to look at this shit every 100 days, because some things you can initiate, but you can never do in that short period of time. Can you do them in 6 months? Can you do them in 9 months? And I'll be looking at, so he got 2 years for the midterms. So he's going to have to accomplish something.
He got to get to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to see a red sweep in the midterms.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I just think that the Democrats could do a lot to keep hurting themselves. I think if they frighten everybody that we're going to be going back to, worrying about people's pronouns, that's just not going to help them.
Yeah, but I think that's a huge mistake. I think that's something that I think that the right is underestimating. I think the right thinks that the left is going to go back to the same old tactics. I don't foresee that. I think I truly believe they think they learned a lot from the Kamala campaign. I think they learned a lot about what not to do and what's not going to work going forward. I think they're going to make the necessary adjustments. I don't believe they're going to get a Republican Senate and a Republican Congress. I don't. I can't see it. And I told you before, I believe you in 2028, you're going to see one of the biggest female voter turnouts you probably have ever seen in your life. Because their mentality is going to be, we cannot let another 4 years like this happen again. Now, whether or not that relates into the votes, we'll find out, right? We'll find out. I think you're going to see a huge voter turnout.
But you're mainly talking about white women because we know how the black women.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about white women because we know how black women are going to vote. Let me ask you this question, Arpang. Have you ever seen, because you've seen, a few inaugurations in your time, a few elections. Have you ever seen so many media members getting fired post-election?
No. I wasn't paying attention either. But no.
Okay, there's been quite a few on the liberal side.
Yeah, because
the MSNBCs, the CNNs, where these people were fired as a result of Trump winning an election, and it's because their ratings literally tanked after the election. I just thought that was kind of unique. I don't remember that any other time.
It was not only just because the ratings tanked; it tanked also because they tried so hard to convince what they were saying was true. And when they lost so much credibility in certain these guys, say, listen, man, you were telling me that, this guy is some kind of threat and the world's going to come to an end, and he beats your ass and the world's still here. And then the rhetoric started to get old. And Joy Reid, first of all, Joy Reid is a racist. She is bad, man. And it's not good for her to be able to get away with some of the shit that she said for the rest of us as black people. Because if there was a white equivalent to her on any kind of airway.
Now hang on. There is.
Who?
Nick Fuentes?
No, with the bully pulpit that she had.
Oh, you're saying that's actually like on like a CNN every night. Okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Nick Fuentes be going crazy.
Oh, they got the chick on Twitter, Lily, the white chick Lily.
There are some.
Yeah, but they didn't have
white conservatives that be saying some wild stuff.
Yeah, but man, Joy Reid, she had the MSNBC thing, and she was bad. But anyway, any final thoughts, gentlemen? So that's the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. Huh? If y'all have some other uglies, man, feel free to let me know.
This is good. It's good to hold, people in positions. I think there should be a bigger deal. You should be holding, politicians and people that hold public office accountable based on whether it be every quarter, every 100 days. I look forward to seeing your good, bad, and the ugly, in the next 100 days. I like it. I think it's a good thing because they do promise so much. They promise so much, and then as 100 Watts said, people start to fall off. You know what I mean? You start to fall off and you're not paying attention. And so we don't know if you actually following through on what you said or not because you're not really paying attention. I think checking up every 100 days is a way of holding politicians accountable. And I do think that us as citizens, we need to hold politicians accountable more. I don't think we do a good enough job.
Yeah. No, we don't. So, hey, listen, man, it's good. Something to any last words for you there, 100 Watts, man. Thanks for stopping by again, too, man.
Oh, look, man, shout out to everybody that's ignorant to all this shit that's going on and at least trying to figure it out. Because listening to these two dudes right here, I know that I'm still like somewhat in the woods and I still got some learning and reading to do. But shout out to everybody, like I said, that's really trying to figure this shit out, man, because it's a lot of ignorance going. Because once you start understanding and start reading it and paying attention, you understand how much these networks are lying, like to your fucking face.
No doubt about it.
Like right to your fucking face. And half of y'all just reading headlines anyway. So y'all are really getting fed some bullshit. But much love to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all for this, because this is the only way. I really do feel like things like this is the only way to really start at least walk into learning stuff like this, because it's overwhelming, dog. You got national, then you got local, you got mayors, governors, senate. All of this can be overwhelming if you really don't know what you're looking for or looking at. So I always appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and talk to some people that at least halfway know what they're talking about.
Yeah, until you said that right, halfway know what you're talking about. All right, gentlemen, man, I appreciate it. Hey, listen, everybody in the chat. Anissa, man, I'm glad you showed up. She showed up because you were here, Trey. Miss Locks, what's going on? I know Curtis was here early, man. So let me go ahead and log out, man. BMU was I saw him in the back doing a few things, shenanigans and shit. All right, man. Another good one. No music today. I do have one, but I'm not playing. Anyway, so we're gonna change up, but I am gonna come back in another 100 days. That's for sure. I want to know. We'll just do that, and we'll see. I personally think in the next 100 days, the market will be at a new 52-week high. That's what I'm thinking. The interest rates are going to be down a notch, and I'm thinking all the people who are in the market, all those people who were scared with their 401ks, if they wasn't stupid and they sold out to some shit, they're going to be happy. And then the tariffs are going to be a thing of the past. If they have some deals and it's working, it's going to go back into the backwoods and invisibility. Because maybe not in the next 100 days, but before the midterms, I think we're not even going to be talking about tariffs anymore. There's going to be, but the balance of our trades and imports are going to be different. It may be changed forever. No more NAFTA.
But one last question before we do go. Do y'all think that in terms of like stocks and stuff, that the automotive industry is a good place to invest in right now with all this shit going on?
Oh, I can't tell you. I can't tell you that. I mean, you have to just look at the it's funny. There's metrics you look at, right? If they're making money and their debt is low, and you could look at some forecasts and shit. I mean, there's like some things you could look at, right? Some of the metrics. I look at some of the charts as well. Are they at their highs or at their lows? And they might still be coming off the lows based on what happened on April 7th. So one of my metrics is this. After I look at, because I like technical analysis a little bit. As long as the companies are profitable and they don't have low debt, then there might be something to look at. But one of my metrics is if you ever buy stock, if you buy more than you can go to sleep with, then you bought too much. You got to know your tolerance level. So I never buy any stock more than if I'm thinking about that shit all night. I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna be in a big red. I bought too many shares. That's just you got to figure out what your tolerance level is. And I'm not a trader, so I kind of tend to sit on some stock. Like I bought CloudStrike a while ago, and I'm happy I did. And then I found out when they had that outage, and they tanked because they stopped all the air traffic. I said, how the hell we got a single point failure shit where one company is important as trust? But when they fixed it, it all came back. So I figured out how important that company is. I don't think they're going anywhere. Anyway, that's it, man. I'm not you got to talk to Trey. He's the man. Get his thing. He's the stock guy. I had to work.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you. 100 watts. I don't know because I've never been through a tariff situation, so I don't know. I don't know how it's going to react. I've been trying to do research myself to see what industries are probably going to boom the most based on the tariffs. I've been trying to pay attention to what I have a belief that the telecommunications and the tech industries are going to boom with the new rights mineral deal and stuff like that. But I honestly, I don't know. I'm just being honest with you. I don't know. I don't know which market's going to boom. I think it's one of the things you're going to have to play it by ear, and you're going to have to be, you're going to have to be on top of it and be ready to make a move. I tell people all the time, you have to have cash in reserves, ready to be invested, because you never know when the market's going to move. Like for instance, last week, if you weren't paying attention to the trade deals, you wouldn't have been ready for today. You know what I mean? But if you had cash in your reserves and you woke up and you paid attention, you could have been ready, to do some things last week, and you would have been all right come Monday morning, right? I bought options around election time in November last year that didn't expire until 2026, and I was just waiting on them because I knew Trump was going to say he was going to do something or say something that was going to make the market flip. I felt it, and I was right. I didn't know he was going to use tariffs to do it or the trade war to do it, but I knew he was going to do something. So I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't actually know what, because like I said, I've never been through a tariff situation. I don't think I've ever even been. I was born in '84, so I don't even know if I've ever even been alive during a tariff situation where they've done it. So I don't know, but I definitely am on top of it. And if I get any news or something pops, I'll be sure to put it in the chat on Mondays for you.
Yeah, it's funny though, but what you said about the anticipation, as soon as last week they said that Besson was going to meet with the Chinese, or his people were going to meet with the Chinese wherever they were, I said, oh man, that might be an opportunity right there, man. That might be an opportunity right there. And it's funny because I'm not a genius, but I use a tracking stock for Tesla instead of Tesla, because Tesla had a big day today. And I think now that he's out of the picture, but the tracking stock is like fractions of the cost, man. When that shit moves, you can have a lot of shares, right? So I think Tesla will be back in a little while.
And the interesting thing is Tesla's not considered an automotive stock.
It's technology.
It's not considered an automotive stock. Yeah, exactly. It's considered a tech stock.
Yeah. But anyway.
So that's you see what I'm saying? I wonder why. Like, you really got to sit down and do your homework on this, because I know we think Tesla makes cars, but Tesla also makes battery, and they also make other things too. So it's like most people think it's an automotive stock, but it's not. It's considered a tech stock.
Wow. So full, yeah. Anyway, man, gentlemen, we like I said, we're gonna have to have one of these kind of conversations, man, where we're just talking about money and stuff like that. One of these days, I could learn something too. Then the reason why I can learn something is because I don't know all this shit, because I had to work till I was 63. I didn't get out when I was like in my 30s, like somebody. You know what I'm saying? so that's real success when you can get out early. But so when you working, you're a gray beard and shit. You might, my knowledge is cocktail at best.
Speaking of Tesla.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later, man. Have a good one, man. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Let's leave. Later on, everybody.